LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I
filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, it's time to kiss all the time and disco occasionally. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Cory.
And we are finally discussing the newest album from Mr. Harry Styles. We've been waiting to do this one.
Yeah, man.
This is definitely an anticipated 2026 release, not just for us, but for many, I'm sure.
Yeah. If you're new to the podcast or, just joining us, I wasn't too big into Harry before Harry's House, but he definitely earned my respect there. So I couldn't wait for this one to hear what he was bringing us on this one.
Yeah, we have 2 Harry Styles episodes, actually. We did the Harry's House and Fine Line. Check those out if you want, if you haven't already, subscribed to the podcast, which you should do, by the way. But get that plug in earlier than I usually do. But yeah, subscribe, friends. It would be helpful.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, very highly anticipated new release here. One good thing about Wadium is we have some of the numbers now for it, which is always fun to have. I appreciate having the numbers, which of course it did well, but yeah, I'm very curious to see how this whole era unfolds. We're still in the very beginning of it, though, which is exciting because it has actually been 4 years since Harry's House. Obviously, he was touring for that, but he went away for a while. He really did lay low, and it did make people wonder. I was definitely seeing predictions of new Harry in 2026. And it's thinking, well, I'm hoping so. It's been the longest split between an album so far for him, but I thought, the timing would be good for that. And fortunately, it was delivered to us. We got the lead single in January. So we are, in a new era. And I actually, hearing about the new album, I was reminded some of my wish lists for Harry when we talked about Harry's House. There were some things I was thinking, I hope he does something a bit different, like maybe new collaborators. We didn't get new collaborators, but we did, I believe, get some different sounds. All of his albums do have a distinct sound to them, which I appreciate.
Yeah, a maturing sound, in my opinion. Again, I just came on board not too long ago with him, but there's a maturity and a maturing tone throughout his albums to me where you really see him explore. We talked a bit about it before we came on, but I'll say it again. I really feel like, I'll say each of his albums, but more so here at the Utmost, I feel a real connection to his own music. This album to me feels like he cares about it, which is crazy to say, excuse me, you might think like, oh, all artists care about their music, but there's really a connection here that makes it feels personal. It feels like that window that we're always looking for our artists to let us in and get a peek. He's opening the door here, it feels like. So it's neat to see that in the start of this era, like you said.
Yes, especially after having gone away for a bit. I mean, he said in press he spent a lot of time kind of laying low in Italy. He lived in Berlin for a bit. He was inspired by just going out and having fun, he said, basically. One artist that he noted inspired this new album was LCD Sound System. And I believe that's most apparent in the lead single. I will say that now.
I will agree with you without going spoiler on that. Excuse me. I will agree with you there. You do hear LCD in there, especially their way to, in my opinion, to stretch songs out where you're almost like, is this song going to take off? And then right when they want you to. Right when you least expect it, it really is. It gives you what you're looking for. I guess other than their big hit, Daft Punk is playing at my house, because that is right in your face from the beginning of the song. But if you listen to some LCD stuff, it's a real mix of pop, of house, of electro, and I always enjoyed them. But yeah, you hear that in that first track. You hear that a bit through this album, in my opinion, but you definitely hear that going through this first track. It was cool to hear him call that out, because I didn't realize that was his inspiration until I started reading.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing some new he's has different inspirations on this album than he did previously, which is good. I Again, that was what I was hoping for HS4, as some would call it. I wanted him to go to some different inspiration than he did even for Harry's House, which I love, but I didn't want more of the same. And, well, we didn't get that, for better or for worse, according to some. I mean, overall, the reception's positive. It's got like a 72 Metacritic score. That's good. Not as high as Harry's House, but it's still good. But again, as we said in the last Bruno Mars episode, of course, anytime there's a big new release, there's got to be a polarizing reception now.
Yeah.
And in the case of this, I do see parallels between him not quite on the level of the reception Taylor Swift will get when she puts out a new album, but on a somewhat smaller scale. There's going to be a lot of, oh, this isn't as good as the last one. But in this particular case, I'm not understanding it quite as much, because in the case of Taylor, she just put out her 12th album. She has a lot more to compare it to than Harry does. This is just his 4th release.
Yeah, I'm right with you. We talked a tiny bit before we jumped on today, but the varying levels of critical acclaim here, not even with my own opinion in there, it's just wild to see the remarks, like this predisposition of what it could be. It doesn't, for me, the reviews that I read, the more negative ones didn't even seem like they were looking forward to something. They were just looking for a cookie cutter Harry Styles album for some reason. And I think they missed a lot of the nuance inside of the sound that he provided us in this album. That's my opinion. But it's wild to see. It doesn't even feel like everybody's just looking, waiting with excitement. It's more so they just get it, and well, it's not exactly what I wanted to hear. And that ends my old man rant on that for a second.
Yeah, well, the one point I do want to make, obviously, he notes his influences very clearly. In this case, like a LCD sound system. One critique has said, like, oh, well, I wish he'd go deeper into that sound, kind of. And that's when I want to remind you all that at the end of the day, this is a pop artist. And it's okay to take those indie sounds and put them into a more mainstream pop context, which is what I believe it's something that he's been doing. He did it well. Like, Harry's House is not a Japanese city pop album. It is a mainstream pop album influenced by city pop, and that's not a bad thing. And same here. This is an album influenced by, like, European dance music to an extent. Doesn't mean it has to be a European dance music album. It can be within that context, and it doesn't have to be the wildest stuff you've ever heard. That's not what he's going for, but he is expanding his palette, which is important. And again, there's just this extra pressure, of course, on somebody who, again, started out so young in a boy band. He's still exploring a lot of his sound, which he should be.
And he's an artist. Of course, explore your sound. So many times we don't get the wide open book of the artist like he gives us with his inspirations. And maybe so because they don't want people to say, oh, well, they said they were inspired by this, and why doesn't it sound like that? He doesn't mind doing that. And I've always respected that. We've seen it in a lot of his press for this album, for all of his albums, where he notes where it's coming from. He notes what he's looking at because in my opinion, he's a young and upcoming artist who is truly exploring his form inside of where he came from, which is amazing. I love that. To turn that into it could have really explored LCD's catalog. Shame on that. Shame on that. Look at what he's drawing from, and then knowing that, look at what he's given us. I start to get angry a little bit when I speak on it, but it's crazy to do that, especially as a critic. We do our best not to do that, and I think we do a good job at that. But for big time critics, this is your job, literally. Don't spread that into the world, that mindset. You have a responsibility as a journalist at that point to really open your mind and your ears and just judge the music.
Yes, and I personally want to end our intro on a bit more of a positive note, because we'll get into the track by track. But in the time that Harry was on hiatus, we had some Harry Styles knockoffs come out. So I just want to be very clear. You want to call him unoriginal so much. Yeah, we got a few knockoffs. They weren't very good. I'm happy to have the real deal back.
Agreed.
So with that being said, I'm ready to talk about Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. It actually does have a cool alternate shortened title called Kiss Cow, which I like that.
I haven't
I
heard
learned that one.
I like that. I haven't heard that yet. I love the name of this album. It's a personal. It lets us in right away to what he's thinking, which I think is cool.
Yes, though even then we'll get into it. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So anyway, the album begins with Aperture, which is also the lead single. This came out back in January, and for me, it's been on repeat pretty much since then. I'll say that now. I personally, just ahead of time, adore this song. This is the most overt dance track on the album. It is over 5 minutes long, which is actually a bit refreshing in 2026, because now we just want short stuff for TikTok. And it seems a lot of artists are leaning into that. I'm glad that that's not the case with Aperture, at least. And I will say, first off, I think some folks were maybe expecting the whole album to go more in the direction of this track. It did not, but that's okay. I think that makes this song a bit more special, and I love it for what it is. I think this is a great electronic influenced dance track. I also love the action-packed video with him on his chase and his dirty dancing lift and backflips. It's a very fun song. I definitely recommend you listen to it if you haven't. Yeah, Cory, what do you break down the music a bit more here?
Well, I'll give a little preface to this. I didn't listen to this song ahead of time. So this whole album I got as a package deal, and not even knowing at that point at first listen that this was an LCD Sound System inspiration here. I was so blown away by the way that this track uses its 5 minutes and 12 seconds, because as an opener, we've seen it, but it's very easy to have a long track fall flat on its face as the opener of an album. And this one, even though it starts off slow, it really opens up. Like I was talking before about that LCD mindset. It's almost, in my opinion, like this euphoric crescendo that there's never really a point in this song other than the lyrics. And I'll get there in a second to me, but there's not really a point in the composition musically that it goes into a dark space. It, for me, really crescendos this euphoric feeling. I do feel a sense of searching in the lyrics and the way this is put together. And he's almost like, in my opinion, really, I don't want to use the word like distant, but he is removed a tad from the track. And I love that. I love the fact that he is working his way into his own album in this beautiful opener. I was not sure where this album was going to go. I was not only enthralled by this track, but this track brought excitement to me because out of the gate, he showed us that he's on a whole nother level. He's on a whole nother sound. And I was really excited. This I'll say as an American, this as an American single, I didn't think it had the chops. Not because it's not an awesome song. It just doesn't seem like a dead ringer for an American #1 single. I do think that the bass, like the 808 hits in the start and that drive through this are a draw into the subconscious American listener that will catch. But now that I've had time with it, I really think it has the legs to be a single. And I'm glad it was the first single, but I'm really glad that it was the first track for this album.
Yeah, it's a great album opener. And as a single, of course, in the US, it obviously went to #1 because it was him. It has shown that it's not going to have the staying power that As It Was or even Watermelon Sugar did, but that's okay. I don't really think that was the point of this song, and I'm not mad at it. And again, it just makes the track a bit more special, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, and maybe I'm reaching, but I like the stance of making this the #1 single because it's not your 3 minute and 30 radio hit. It's not your Watermelon Sugar where it fits into that American radio mindset. So maybe I'm reaching, maybe, but I like the fact that the first single is 5 and 11. I'm sorry, I said 5:12 earlier, but 5 and 11. And maybe it's not set for radio, but who cares, because this is a new sound for him.
Yeah, I agree. I do feel the intention wasn't, again, to break all the records with this track like he did with As It Was. And that's okay. I prefer you make music for making music because he knows it'll do well because it's him. And he's got his fan base. He's playing around a bit, but doesn't mean he still can't do that good single. And I think this next track is proof of that. Track 2, American Girls. This appears to be the second single. It did get a music video, and it's the one getting the push as the single, even though based on early reactions, I don't believe it's not the one that's gone the most viral. We will get to the track that is, which went viral for good reason. But yeah, this one, I've seen this one compared to the 1975's sound a lot, which I can hear some of that.
Heard that.
But, I mean, far from the first song I've heard influenced by the 1975. And this is a good single. That's what I'll say. I feel like it's a good radio single, and it does have resonance to him as well. He did say, like, this was inspired by friends of his getting married, and he's saying, like, okay, I'm haven't really settled down yet. Where does that leave me? And, like, it can be hard to see your friends get married is kind of the goal of the song, but it's all done in a very nice, pop-friendly sound. This is a good single. I appreciate it on that level. This hits that fix for me as a good pop single for 2026.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I think it's a good choice for a single. I think it can have legs. I really love the fact that it doesn't stray too far from our original thought as far as this new sound goes, but it does take it to a new place. In fact, before I even read this, I felt like it was a searching for love kind of sentiment here. And then to read that, it was inspired by friends of his getting married and the way he feels, it really comes through. And I think it comes through strong without having to be forced down our throats throughout this song. I will return to that thought a lot through this album because it's something that I really dig about what he's doing here. There's not necessarily, especially here in this track, there's not a super narrative genius per se in its clarity, but it's there just enough to let me know and also to let me, the listener, have my own space in it. And I really enjoy that. I still hear LCD here, and I love that. I dig that. I still get it it's trailing off, and it's letting me know that we're going somewhere new. But that's also something that I believe I'll speak for both of us, we think makes a great number 2 track in the form of pacing, or the form of letting us know where we're going in this album without really holding our hands, just broadening our horizons as subconscious listeners here, or even as active listeners here. So I really enjoy this one. This has grown on me a bit too. First time I listened to this album, I wasn't sure. I wanted, it was in the morning time. I was with my kids. We were going to school. I was looking for maybe a bit of energy, but that might have just had to be done with the morning. Now, the more I return to this album, but more so to this track, I really enjoy it. So yeah, beautiful pacing. American Girls is a winner for me, especially in the number 2 spot.
Yes, and we're going to keep it going to get a bit more British with the next track, I believe, which is Ready, Steady, Go, which this song's title is likely named after a 60s music television show that was popular in Britain. It was similar to American Bandstand here in the US.
Heard.
And it just seems to be about meeting a new lover and how that rush, so to speak, ready, steady, go, is the whole sound of this song. It's one of the shorter songs here, probably a bit more meant for the TikTok crowd, but I still enjoy this track. I feel like it has a very nice production. I hear a bit more of the LCD in this song than I did on American Girls. It's a good workout song, actually. Learned that one. It's a good gym song to put on. Like, you can get a very good pace going to it. Yeah, short and sweet song. Not so it doesn't, but that's the point of it, I suppose. It's a short and sweet song. It's about a rush coming on to you, and I really enjoy the production on it as well.
Yeah. Talk about production, and I will as I go through here, but this one really jams as far as production value. I dig this song so much, and I've dug it since the first time I heard it. There, as a musical composition, this really, so far on this album, is running the gamut more so for me. I mean, we go from pizzicato strings, really the first time we hear this subdued pizzicato, to like a straight house breakdown. Like, I love that. I love the juxtaposition there of those sounds, and they work so well inside of this narrative. For me, it's this wild narrative of a great one night, maybe 2 night fling, just one of those wild flings. But the thing that throws me the most on this one is every time I go back and start really going through the lyrics, it reads to me like he hears her call out a different name, Leon. And he says it the first time, and then the second time he says, he always makes like an excuse for it inside of this fling, and I dig that. I think it's mirrored by the 2-minute and 40-second runtime, and I like that. We get this little fling of a romance with this song, and it's just the time that I needed. Not that I wouldn't think about calling it again, but I enjoy this song for that. And I love, again, it gives us a new point for our ears, and it opens us up as far as pacing goes for this next track as well. I can't stress, and I will keep stressing this throughout. Not worried about spoilers on this one. The pacing of this album is really well done. I won't go spoilers too far, but up to right now, we're going into track 4, the pacing is phenomenal, and I'm trying not to curse.
No, it really is. I'm a little proud of myself here. I watched a video review of this album from a creator that I watched. It wasn't as positive as ours, but I made a note in this comment, like, I feel like this album is very well paced, and I got over a dozen likes on it. So
hell yeah.
Very proud of that, because it really is. I know not everyone is quite on that same page as we are with that, but I don't get out of this album too easily. And we definitely keep the pace going with the next track, which is Are You Listening Yet? Which Harry said is the oldest song on the album. He said like it was at a time he was doing shows in New York. So I'm guessing like Love on Tour, Harry's House era when he was playing MSG. And I hear a lot of that live energy in this song. I imagine it'll be a really good one when he does it on his tour. He did do a Netflix special where he performs the whole album, which is definitely cool, but I would keep in mind it's the first time that he did all of these songs. So there are, in one case, I think at least a better performance. I'll discuss that when we get to it. But like he said, I was so in it and it felt kind of crashy in his words. And it's just, he's asking you, are you listening yet? Like I'm making this music, I'm making this point. It just has a very live feel to it, and I really enjoy it for that.
Yeah, this song is my jam. This was first listen in the car with the kids. I felt like the scene from Pootie Tang when they're listening to his track and they're all going crazy. Pootie done did it again. Harry done did it again here. This was what I was looking for in my first listen with energy, and I got brought to it. I got led to it by the pacing of this album. By the time you get here, you're automatically listening if you aren't. And the title says it all. This track with its stomp, like Broadway stomp-esque percussion throughout. It drives. For me, it has this almost Latin house feel behind it with its percussion, and I dig that. I love this. The opening line, God knows your life is on the brink and your therapist's well-fed. I chuckle every time. It's such a well-done song. I'm not sure, and my question for you is this a single? Or if not, I gotta believe this has to be an upcoming single for this.
Not seeing it get the push some of the other tracks are.
Yeah, this is my jam. I'm not sure how it's not pushed. This is perfect. In my opinion, this is a perfect radio fit. We're in at 312. It doesn't waste any time. And this is a pump up song for me. I love it finishing the first third of this album and ushering us into the track 5. Again, pacing is phenomenal up until this point. And I'm not sure I can find where any of the disdain for this album or the hate for this album is yet. So yeah, no, but still home runs all the way so far.
Yeah, but we are only a third of the way through the album. We've just done 4 out of 12 tracks so far. We're about to go on to track number 5, which is Taste Back, which I will say is the sassiest song on the album. It seems to be about like an ex calling him and he's saying, oh, well, did you get your taste back? Like you were with the wrong one. Like, did you get it or do you just need a little love? It taps into some very real human emotions while with some edge to it emotion wise, which I appreciate. This one was a grower for me. It wasn't a love at first listen. I kind of thought, okay, this doesn't quite have the same pace of those first 4 tracks. But the more you listen, the more it actually does keep it going. And I mean, it's definitely an earworm, this one. So not the most obvious standout to me, but definitely a grower and one I'd like to spend even more time with coming forward. I do like the tone of this song. I appreciate that most of all.
Yeah, I'm with you. This one brought the energy down just a tad, and I needed that, and I enjoyed that pacing wise. As far as its narrative composition for me, it's really spot on. This is I guess you could say tongue in cheek, but this is a real, almost a diss track to an ex-lover. Like, you're calling because you need a little love. Like, it's all you. It matches for me. And I thought I was reaching. Maybe I am reaching. This song really spoke to me as an album. Or I'm sorry, this album really spoke to me, especially this song, as like a searching for love kind of album. Negative and positive throughout. So we just came off a one night stand 2 tracks ago. And now we're at an ex-lover in a different sound. So I enjoyed that in its narrative structure here. This one, not taking anything away from it, is the only one so far that there are a tiny little bit of spots where I think that there's missed opportunities in the composition, but very small. I'm nitpicking at this point on this one. I really enjoyed this song, and I think a lot of this pacing has to do with this driving backbone of the rhythm that we've been seeing throughout this. And even though this sits a little bit softer, it doesn't lose its driving tone here. And it really keeps me, but I think so much so the subconscious listener or the active listener inside of the album. I enjoy this one.
Yeah, it's a good one. And now it actually does kind of make sense why we slowed it down, because we're about to go into the first ballad of the album, which is The Waiting Game. Yeah, the disco occasionally was very key in the album title. This is not a full dance album. I feel like that might have been some people's disappointment, which I can kind of understand, but just so you know, that's not what we got. But it's okay. It really is, because he can do a good ballad. This one is The Waiting Game, and he said it was the first song that he wrote after he'd settled in Italy for a bit, and I can kind of tell. Like, this one, it's not a bad song. I do really like the opening couplet of sorts, like you can romanticize your shortcomings, ignore your agency to stop, write a ballad with the details while skimming off the top. I really enjoyed that lyrical couplet, but it goes into playing the waiting game, which does come from a romantic spot of sorts. Personally, I will say this isn't a song that I feel like I have the most experience with at this point in time. Maybe that's part of the disconnect for me. I will say, if I'm going to do a gun to the head for the album, it would be this one. Actually, there are definitely better ballads coming up on the album. I'm gonna say that one right now. It's not a bad song. It's one I could see growing on me. I mean, it sounds perfectly fine. It's just, it is the song that comes the closest to taking me out of the pace of the album. But now that I know how it goes, I expect it, but it's the closest we got. The first listen or two.
Yeah, I'm with you. First listen or two, it could have taken me out a little bit, a tiny bit. Such a sucker for this composition, though, that really kept me there. For me, now knowing him being in Italy, I really relate to this song, period. Just the way it's narrated, and I can feel where he is. I mean, he basically, in the couplet that you gave us, which is the opening of the song, he basically tells us how he wrote this song. And I dig it, just writing a ballad, skimming it off the top of real life and dropping it all in there. I am more a sucker for this composition musically because for me, the beeps and blops, that's the professional term for what we hear there. But the electronic bleeps and blops inside or in the back of the acoustic guitar reminds me of the city pop vibe that he went with on Harry's House. And I dig that. And I can see like him looking back in retrospect musically as he goes through this. We get that contrast of these beautiful string pieces throughout too that really I'm a sucker for, and big part of why I enjoy this one so much. I've gone back to this one more than I thought I would, and I do enjoy it more and more each time. But I'm with you there. First or second listen, it was a little bit of a drop off of everything we've been talking about up to this point about the pacing, the driving backbone, all of that stuff. I know it's our ballad, and I'm with you. There are better ballads on this album, but not a terrible song. I made that face when you said gun to the head because I didn't even think about a gun to the head on this album. So I'm on the fly with a gun to the head. Maybe I don't find one. This might be in the running though, and I can see your point. That's why I was like, oh, but yeah, definitely not a terrible song. Very, very neatly written song here, and a short little gem.
Yes, agreed. But now we're into the second half of the album, which begins with Season 2 Weight Loss. I was this was definitely the most intriguing title when I saw the track list for the album. I thought, what even could this be about? But he did explain, because I'm sure you're wondering, like, what season 2 weight loss, and the inspiration for the title is actually Harry actually said was like the mission statement of the record. And he said it's like if there's a Netflix show and then it blows up and everybody comes back in season 2 and looks amazing. Was kind of his, it's like you're the same character, but suddenly he has cheekbones. And he said that's what it felt like to him coming back as a stronger version of himself. And I feel this is a smart concept for Harry Styles to tap into, considering like he is a sex symbol. Let's not kid ourselves here. I mean, he's 32 and already, yeah, you'll go on, like, I've seen people, even one of my friends said, oh, Harry Styles is old now. Like,
I mean,
because he's grown up.
Yeah, he's grown up. In that American Girls video, we didn't talk about it. I swear he made himself look older on purpose just to push the narrative of that video. But he had a grizzled look about him that I don't necessarily normally put with him on that one.
Oh, wait, I'm sure it was intentional because he's showing like, hey, I have grown up. Because he got famous when he was 16, but he is a grown man now. So I feel like this is a really smart concept for him to tap into. And I feel the song delivers. I mean, lyrically, this one's definitely a relatable song as we all go through the seasons of our life. And musically, I feel like this one hits. It's not like the most obvious dance track, but it does have a solid, step to it that you can move to, which I appreciate. And again, we once again have London's House Gospel Choir, which is featured on several tracks here, as well as Ellie Rousel. I hope I pronounced that correctly, from Wolf Alice. This is her last track, singing background vocals on. She also did Taste Back and Aperture, but this one really hits for me. First listen, I was like, I think this is my favorite. Now I'm not quite so sure, but it's definitely a high up one for me. Because it's just, this song, it's really about evolution and what are we all if we're not evolving. Especially, he's not that much older than me, so I feel like it definitely hit that spot for me because of the talk of evolution as we are all growing into ourselves.
Yeah. This one hit me on a different level, but that evolution is the same, where this one, it seemed to fit the narrative of this looking for love and not being good enough for someone you love and switching it up. Season 2 weight loss in that aspect. And I dug that. And I really, really connected with this song, period. But as far as it on the album, it is killing the second half. It opens it up in such a beautiful way that really gives us a call back to the driving that we've seen in the early half of the album. But even with its electronic tones early on, it adds this almost like a hip hop drum beat behind it. I picture Questlove playing this kind of beautiful live drum throughout. And for me, it's the soul of this song and really drives it through because it doesn't just stick to its normal beat. It almost sounds like an improvisational drum track as we go through here, and I dig that. This is the real first earwig that I found myself singing outside of the album, and I didn't even realize that. It took me a second to be like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, I'm singing Harry right now. But this one definitely stuck with me. I can see where you were first listen thinking it might be your favorite. It was up there, and it still is up there. I definitely, it's made its way into my playlist. I really enjoy this. Opening up, being the second track in this half, or no, I guess not. The first track in the second half, it really does its job, period, on this album. I dig it, man. I dig it. It's another take on this sound as he goes through here, and he hasn't lost me at all, really, coming through here.
Part of the reason I said it was on first listen because I did note this as my favorite in my YouTube comment, but it's like, now I realize I said that too soon because I have a new favorite
Heard that.
the album. But we're not quite at that song yet, and it's actually not this next song, which has deservedly gone viral. This one's really blown up, actually. Track 8, Coming Up Roses. This song is a solo Harry Styles composition, which was something that was on my wish list for him. I wanted to hear what kind of song could he do. Just write it by yourself, no co-writers. And we got Coming Up Roses, a full orchestra track is what he wrote. Definitely unlike anything that he's done before. Maybe, and that's another key point I want to make here. It's, again, he's expanding his palette. It's not necessarily something you've never heard before, but it is different for this artist to do, who, again, I want to remind you, came out of a British singing reality show. Like, he's got a lot of coming up in that system. I believe the artists are very restricted in any of those. Like, they're definitely put in a box, and there's a lot more for them to explore coming out of that TV realm, because really it's not about music. It's about making good television. That's what it's about. So I just want to be very clear, but that's why it's fun to hear him do a song like this. And he actually did say he wrote it in December, was trying to write a Christmas song, which I could hear a bit of that, but I'm glad it didn't quite end up that way. It's definitely it's a very vulnerable song. It's really what it boils down to. Like, it's like what I want might hurt you at times, but it's still what is best for me. This might be is this his most introspective song ever? It might be. It just might be.
It's one of the ones that hit me the hardest. I mean, I searched back, and this is really I won't even say without the refrain. I have so much to say about this. I've got to put it all together here. But like, this one, it is so beautifully introspective. This is the window, the door. Fuck it. He took the whole side of the house off and said, come on in. And really, well, there is not a time that so far that this track turns on and I don't sit back and take a breath and contemplate and relax and enjoy and really just be inside of it. And that's without the music, like literally without the music behind it, just inside of his refrain. It's so beautiful. It's so well written. And then we get back to these pizzicato strings, but this time these pizzicato strings are contrasted by this cello, this bowed cello, and it's phenomenal. It's so fitting. It's almost dreamlike, but it's still rooted in reality inside of its musical composition. There's not enough good I can say about this one. It's wild because I really enjoy this album, as you can tell so far. And to say one is better than the other, it wasn't something I came to do. But I love the fact that you posed the question of, is this his most introspective? Because it's his most mature, it's his most introspective, it's his most, for me, like fulfilling song. It feels like as an artist for him. Again, we talked a little about it before we started, but there's so much connective tissue here between him and the music, in my opinion, and I could feel it. And this is the epitome of that. So I really dig it. Other than it made me think of the musical Gypsy. As soon as I saw Coming Up Roses, I was like, Gypsy in my head. But it's all the way on the opposite end of the spectrum. Such a legendary song. I'll put legendary on this. This is one that I hope people don't sleep on. It's one that I push to people that I know enjoy good music. So yeah, not enough good things to say about this one. You know what? Fuck it. I'll finish it off by saying the realest of real. He fucking made me cry the first time I heard this song. He got me. So it's a powerful beast.
It is. This song is not being slept on. This was immediately singled out as a highlight. This is the first song I saw people in my network share on their Instagram. So it's like Coming Up Roses, like day of album. And he did perform it on SNL, and that was a good performance. It was even introduced by Paul Simon.
I know.
which was, whoa. And apparently I read later on he forgot the lyrics at one point. I didn't even notice that when he performed it.
I heard that. I didn't either.
But check out, it's a very cool performance.
It is.
It's a good one. No, this song is not being slept on. If
Good.
it doesn't
Good.
become a single, it's definitely still going to be a very well-known song. No doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah, he killed it on that.
Yeah, but we are going to bring the pace back up big time with the next track, which is Pop, which he was interviewed about briefly in his Live Lounge appearance recently. And he said it's just about that desire to make pop music and like what he does, but it's also, this one's a little spicy. Very much spiritually a sequel to Cinema off of Harry's House.
Hell yeah.
But I actually like this one a lot better. It just goes into a different, more hyper direction musically, and it feels more, even the sexuality of the lyrics to me feels just more genuine than Cinema did. Because I remember back that those lyrics were a little bit like, that feels a little forced. This doesn't feel forced to me at all. This song just feels so free, and it's just a very fun song to listen to. And I think vocally it's one of his best moments on the album. One criticism of the album that I have heard that I do kind of understand is some folks have said they feel like his voice isn't as present on this album, which is a fair critique. I feel like that was the point he was going for. But if you do enjoy his voice, this is not as good of a showcase for it as his other albums. So in terms of that, I do understand where we're coming from, kind of. But this is a good vocal showcase. He's very into it on this song. Definitely one. Yeah, it is about music, but it's also spicy. But it's about all that comes with pop music, but I appreciate that he's a little coy about it. That's all I'll say.
No, I'm with you. He really, it almost feels like a tongue in cheek at first, but then when you go back and go through it, he plays with it enough where you know exactly where he's coming from, and I dig that. I like the up in energy again here. I think it fits perfectly with this album, and I really enjoy that. It gives me a little bit of like a Daft Punk vibe with the backing composition, but I love his. I love his pentameter here. I love the rhythm of the way he pushes this poetry throughout this. I dig almost everything about this. The only thing I don't dig is there are tiny, again, this is a nitpicking thing, but there's tiny missed opportunities for me in the way it could hit just a tad harder in its composition. Love this song. I dig this song so much. That's my nitpicking side there. But this has the Harry DNA inside of it, and I enjoy that. It makes me think back to the other Harry albums, and I see his art here, and I see who he is as an artist here, and it's undeniable the fact that it's him. Again, I go back to this connective tissue and the way I feel like he really put himself all the way through this album, and I dig that. I had not thought about that until you said it, but I can see that maybe this isn't the biggest showcase of his vocal expertise, but at least you get something like this. And now I want to go back and do another listen. I mean, of course I was going to anyway, but to really see if that's the case. It might be the case, but we'll have to see. The jury's out for me on that.
Yeah. And we're going to keep the upbeat vibes going very much so with the next track, which is Dance No More, which I'm going to say this is his most queer song he's done to date, with that Respect Your Mother, all back, that's so ballroom-esque. Come On Vogue.
Yeah.
It's so inspired by that, is at least what I'm hearing. I'm sure I'm not the only one who did. And he's just thinking of, like he said, this is really inspired by him just going out and being free out in Berlin. And I did think it was funny in his live lounge interview. He said his dad misheard the lyrics as DJs don't dance no more, they say. Which is, but this one's just a very, very fun song. That's what it boils down to. And I do appreciate that he's diving in a bit to the camp aesthetic of sorts while just making a very fun dance tune. I feel that's a smart thing for him to do. You could maybe call it queer baiting, which he hoped that, because that's what he gets called out for doing, I suppose. I don't really buy into that, but yeah, this one's a lot of fun. And this one is unlike a song he's done before. Like, it has the energy of like a daydreaming from Harry's House, but within a different sonic palette, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, and I think it's great that we're talking about this different sonic palette, because it almost feels like it comes out of left field, but then fits right in. And I enjoy that. For this, I love that campiness. I didn't put it into the ballroom, into the Vogue aesthetic, as much as I put it into, like, I could hear, man, like some Sugar Hill in there. I really got big Prince vibes off this, like some Morris Day in the Time kind of feel here. And I enjoy that, especially as a get everybody on the floor dance song. You know, there's not too much narrative clouding here that we have to poke through and figure out what's up. This is just a straight up beautiful campy, I will use that word because I like it, dance track, and it's fun. It's super fun. We're getting close to the end of the album, and the energy is still there. And you ended off with the respect your mother. I love that. I love the shout out there. So yeah, well done all the way around on Dance No More.
I do appreciate, I think this is definitely, it's not queer baby, but I do feel like it's an acknowledgement of a part of his fan base. Certainly, he definitely has a queer fan base, and also his inspirations too.
Yeah,
like, it's a genuine track from him, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. You know, he's one of those artists that he lets us know his inspirations. He lets us know that he's open-minded to the world and brings that in, and it shows. It shows in all, in my opinion, it shows in especially in this album. We get to see a lot of the world, so to speak, inside of these tunes.
Yes, I agree. And also check out the live lounge performance of this track.
Heard that.
For sure. He did it on SNL, but that version's not quite as good as the live lounge. I wouldn't be surprised if this one was a single. I personally hope it is. I would love to see a video for this track. Very, very fun song.
Yeah, it's a summer single, in my opinion. I hope to see it out there. It's time to start dropping these summer singles, so get them out there.
Yep. Dance No More song of the summer, hopefully.
There you go.
We need one after last year. We didn't have one, so.
Heard that.
But now we're sadly almost at the end of the album. I'm having so much fun. I really don't like that we're almost at the end, but we are. And we're ending it close. Penultimate track is called Paint by Numbers. This is the shortest track on the album, and another song that very much seems to be about fame and his role in it. I will say I definitely believe this song, he hasn't said it, but I hear a lot of inspired by tragedy in this song, because during his hiatus, in case you didn't know, I'd be surprised if you did, because it was very big news that his former bandmate Liam Payne tragically passed away in Argentina after falling off of a hotel balcony while very much under the influence of alcohol and other substances. That was a very tragic story, and it's hard to imagine that it wouldn't have had an effect on Harry. And one of his few posts during his hiatus was a statement about it, which all of the bandmates met, and which all of the former members of the band put out. And I do recall Harry's actually got some flack for feeling too impersonal and PR written, which I thought was silly, because it's like, well, these celebrities have PR people. They should use them. And also, it is very strange that people expect him to share so much. He even opened up an interview like it felt weird to me that I was expected to grieve so publicly,
Yeah.
which, yeah, he didn't have to. And I feel this song says a lot about that. I definitely, because that is definitely an event that you could imagine would have influenced him and allow him to reflect on his relationship with fame, which this song definitely does. And it's a short track, but in this case, I think its brevity suits it perfectly. Um, this one's, I'm already going to say, is going to go down as an underrated track for him. It's definitely the least streamed so far, but there are layers to this song, and I really appreciate that he did comment on his celebrity and relationship with fame, regardless of the inspiration. I feel like this is a very pretty, simple song, and definitely a evolution in his songwriting I'm hearing on this track too.
Yeah, this one, I really enjoy it, especially as the penultimate, because it is a shorter thought, but it is a complete thought. This is what I picture Harry sitting out on the back porch with an acoustic guitar writing about just the plight of being an artist. And this is an onion of a song. You said it the best, where there's so many layers to this, but when you really go back through and read and contemplate what he's saying, it's somber. I won't say it's sad, but it's somber, and it's another open, this might just be a window here, but it's another opening into what he's feeling, what it's like. Letting the American kids down was one that really hit me, like, wow, man, there's these pressures that he's at least letting us hear in this song, but you know, he's letting it out through song. I dig this one. This, you're right with me. This is underrated. Spending a lifetime learning to paint by numbers and watching the colors run is one of my, if not my newest favorite metaphor. It's such a unique way to put the plight of life. I love this short, beautiful song. I love it on so many levels. Again, he really caught me, maybe just in a different time in my life, but he caught me with a lot of inspiration and connection throughout this album, and he sure didn't stop at paint by numbers. It didn't get me to cry, but it's another one that opens a minute of just taking a deep breath each time I hear it and really contemplating. Yeah, I love that line. I love it. I love it so much. Good job, Harry.
Yeah, what a track. Definitely get into the onion of a song that is paint by numbers. But we are now at the end of the album with the final track, which is Carla's song. He did share that this song was inspired by a friend of his named Carla, and he actually shouted her out in his Netflix special. She was in the audience for it. He said, I wrote this song for her, and it was inspired by her hearing the track Bridge Over Troubled Water for the first time. And he wrote about like just seeing her reaction to this beautiful track and how it made him feel. And so we get this very nice album closer, which definitely I've seen a lot of callbacks. A lot of folks on social media have compared this one to Satellite. I definitely hear that musically in it, but I'm not mad at it. That was one of the best tracks on Harry's House, and one that didn't quite sound like the others, so I feel like it's a good sonic palette for him to return to a bit. It's not quite as raucous as Satellite, but it's really cool album closer. And again, it just goes back to him singing about the beauty of music is really what this track is about, I would say. And this is a beautiful track. It's a really strong album closer. Even though I'm sad the album's over, it does end it on a really strong note. And just a very pure inspiration for the song. I appreciate that. Like, this is Carla's song, and it's just very, I don't know, it just really takes it back. It's almost childlike in its lyricism, which I really appreciate.
I can't say enough good things about the way this song closes off this album. It's a great song, and it's composed flawlessly, coming off a little bit of a somber tone out of Paint by Numbers and walking into Carla's song at a very muted tone early, and then enjoying this beautiful again. And this is I'll go back to Aperture here, where we get this giant euphoric crescendo. This one is almost in my head is like someone running to find another person or just something, period. But we watch this crescendo in the beat, not necessarily the tempo, but we watch this beautiful we listen to this beautiful euphoric crescendo happen in front of us, and it ends with a stop. It ends with a straight stop, no fade out, no anything. I know what you like. I know what you'll like. And it's such a strong way to close this album. We didn't need the 8s again. We didn't need all the electronics again. We got somewhat of a showcase of his voice, and we got to end this on a positive instant stop. Really, I love the way this ends the album. It's not even my favorite song on the album, but it's such a great closer.
It really is. Yeah, not my favorite either, but what a great closer. And I have seen it called a favorite for some. I can definitely see why. It's a great track.
Yeah, most definitely.
Now we're at the end. I'm so sad we're at the end of Kisco.
Yeah, Kisco. I love that.
It's what I'm going to call it. I love that. Kisco.
I heard that.
Oh, I think I feel like we already have made clear what our grade will be, but let's just say it. What's your grade here?
Man, Harry Styles, Kisco. What else could I say that I haven't said so far? I'll sum it up. It was impeccably paced, full of feeling, full of connection, full of introspection with peaks. Not necessarily valleys here. Not necessarily any time where I don't have a gun to the head, I don't think. I didn't think about it, which was one of the first times. There wasn't a point that this album has stopped for me since I first listened. It is not just because we do this podcast, it has lived inside of it. It almost, not to sound silly, but it almost feels like it's always been there at this point. It really is beginning to be, in my opinion, one of these timeless albums, and I can't be more happy to have it, period. So I say thank you to him on that. I'm gonna say something crazy right now. I'm giving this an A+. An A+. And that's wild because it's something I don't give out, we don't give out. I really feel like there is close to perfection here, and I'm not letting my connection cloud that. I've gone back through this and tried to nitpick it, and really the only two nitpicks I said today. This album is a very, very full and inspired and just a complete album to me. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm not going to quite go A+ yet, but I am going to give it an A. This apparently is an unpopular opinion. This is my favorite that he's done yet.
I agree with you. And Harry Styles was great, but this for me is the epitome of his art at this point.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe it won't be for everybody, but if you get it, you get it. I feel like that's kind of where we're at. I think we're both on a similar wavelength to Harry Styles right now with this album. Maybe not everybody is. That's okay. I know I definitely connect to it a lot. I'd be very surprised if Harry is not my number one artist of 2026. At the rate we're going here, I really enjoy it, and there's a lot to keep coming back to with this album, and I just want to see how the era unfolds, even though I'm really sad I'm not going to Madison Square Garden to see one of his shows this year. I tried, but failed.
Hey, tough ticket. That's a tough ticket.
It was way too tough. Oh, okay. Harry, please come to Baltimore and help your boys out here. We're promoting your album.
Yeah, for real. Please,
Yes.
at least Chicken Box, if not Raven Stadium.
Yeah, please help me out. I'll even take DC. Just give me something.
Heard that.
favorite track?
Are You Listening Yet? It made me go nuts in the car. I can't deny it. I have more favorite tracks, I think, on this album, but I want to give it my favorite track because it gave me a moment of elation that I haven't felt listening to an album in a hot minute. So that one gets it for me.
I'm Dance No More.
Heard that. Such a good song.
So good. So good. We need a video now. Sorry, not to put more pressure on you, Harry Styles, but
Heard that.
what are we doing next? And now we're gonna do another new release because we've been gone a while, so we've been missing some stuff. But one that came out not same day as Bruno's album actually, but we had the one that really wanted to do Kisco, but now we're going to be doing the latest from Gorillaz, which is called The Mountain. I know Cory have listened to it a bit, and you said you want to explore it a bit more, and I'm very curious to hear what Gorillaz have done.
Yeah, it's worth exploring. Jury's still out on it, so that's a good thing. As far as us doing it next week, yeah, that's all I'm going to say on this one. Just yet.
No, I'm ready for it, and I believe listeners, you will like it as well because it did.
Yeah, man.
Gorillaz did well for us last year. That was one of our top episodes from last year, actually.
Yeah. It'll be fun to revisit the Gorillaz in a new era. We just talked about a new era for Harry, now a new era for Gorillaz, and they're getting ready to do a bunch of live touring with this album too. So it definitely is a new era for them.
No, it is. And before we went back to them, before we did Gorillaz 20 years ago. Now we're going to Gorillaz in the present day, which I love that they're still inspired to be doing stuff because not everybody is.
Heck yeah.
Damon Albarn will have a lot to say about you soon.
Heard that.
But yep, you don't have to be too high atop the mountain, hopefully, to enjoy our next episode. So we'll be right back at it with you soon.
Peace.